Joshua, Future Filmmaker Reviews, where I talk movies, TV, anime, and music. And we're back with the return of Tier List. Yes. So, leading up to Black Panther Wakanda Forever, I wanted to try something a little different with the MCU, as I usually rank them. Rather than ranking them on their own, I decided I want to try this by phases. Phase 1, Phase 2, Phase 3, and Phase 4 in a ranking leading up to Wakanda Forever, as well as every single MCU show that I have watched. That includes Netflix, Hulu, and Disney+, so you will be getting that as well. And as of now, I will say this now, besides Phase 4, which I don't even hate, Phase 1 is honestly my least favorite of this MCU. Now, I know this is with them starting out, but even with this being my least favorite one, besides Phase 4, they still have some pretty good movies. So, with that being said, we're gonna get started. We only have 6 movies here. This will get bigger as we go along, so each week or week and a half you will get one list. Probably we'll spread this out in October or in November. So that being said, this is going to be fun and I hope you guys enjoy it. So the categories are Spider-Verse worthy, you have epitastic fun, not epitastic but still entertaining, alright if frustrating, not that big on in unworthy territory. And I got some controversial opinions here, but we're gonna have fun in the comment section down below what you guys think of this tier list, and I will gladly take any comments, positive or negative. Let's have a discussion about this tier list. That's the beauty of being MCU fans. Let's not be toxic assholes about it, please. Alright, so the original Iron Man, you are definitely Spider-Verse worthy. 2008, woo, that was a hell of a year. Wall-E, The Dark Knight, this and the next movie, incredible year for films. Iron Man was basically the start of this whole big, epitastic, amazing saga, even with issues, with some stuff I don't care for, which we will get to later on. It's still a phenomenal start to an incredible incredible franchise. This is one of my favorites. It's a lot of fun. Jon Favreau, this was him after coming off stuff like Elf, going into a big budget film like this as director. Robert Downey Jr., this was his basic career comeback with this, Tropic Thunder and Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. Top that off, you have a very nice origin story for Tony Stark, great character depth, some great characters like Gwyneth Paltrow's Pepper Potts and originally Terrence Howard for this first movie as James Rhodey, and then you got Ben Kingsley as a good villain. I find a lot of enjoyment in this. I have a blast every time I rewatch it, and it just, without this movie, we would not be where we are today with the MCU. Spider-Verse worthy, I love Iron Man. It is amazing, and it's definitely worthy of Spider-Verse worthy. Issues, I don't really have that much issues, is that it is a little slow. The villain, I guess you could say, doesn't really work for most people, but for me, for his first ever appearance, it's very solid. And Iron Man, you are definitely worthy of the Spider-Verse treatment. Controversial, I will, because the Incredible Hulk is just entertaining. No, yeah, entertaining. Look, I love the Hulk, and I love the 2003 movie, and I love an Incredible Hulk, but this has always been an odd one for me. I think it's very underrated. I think it deserves a lot more appreciation, but of the MCU movies, this is the one I do find a little bit slow as far as Phase 1. Now, you get a lot more action than you did in 2003 Hulk. I think Louis Leterrier, who's going to be directing F9, he does a fantastic job in the department of direction. I think there's a great score by Craig Armstrong, and I love the fact that they want to take Hulk and focus on the man and the monster, like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. And I think there are some great performances in this movie. You got Edward Norton, even though I know about the drama with him, Louis Leterrier, and Marvel, which led to a recasting, which he is very known for being difficult to work with, just like Katherine Heigl. Yeah. I can overall say that his performance, I think, is really strong here as Bruce Banner the Hulk. Not my favorite Hulk, but he is pretty awesome. I can also say the late William Hurt gives a good performance. Tim Blake Nelson is great. And I really like the chemistry with Betty Ross, Liv Tyler, and Edward Norton. I do wish they could bring Liv Tyler back, but I don't think there's a possibility now. Maybe her character died or something. And there's some fun action scenes, and the cinematography is great, and the effects look amazing for 2008. A little dated on the Abomination, but it looks great. The only problems I really have when it comes to this movie is that because of the fact that Universal will not get their crap together and give us another Hulk movie with Disney and Marvel, it kind of just makes this a little bit pointless. And also, aside from that, Tim Roth, his performance in this movie, as great as he is as an actor, he is really ridiculously over the top in a few places, especially when he becomes Abomination. I think he's fine in the role, but a little bit too over the top. And at times, I find myself a little bit bored with this, but I still think this is an underrated MCU gem that I felt like should have been more financially successful, and I pray to God with Mark Ruffalo and Marvel and Universal, if they do another Hulk movie, I want to see this Hulk back. You can keep Professor Hulk, you can keep She-Hulk. I would love to see Hulk rage again. We need the good Hulk back, even though Hulk has never been bad in my opinion. Just some issues aside you can fix with Mark's Hulk, but if you can give us badass Hulk with Professor Hulk in another Hulk movie, I will be more than satisfied. But Incredible Hulk, entertaining, but not epitastic. Iron Man 2, get your freaking hate comments ready, because epitastic fun, you are. Iron Man 2, okay, I get it, alright? I get it. Trust me, I get you.
Josh, there's too many things to try to set up. Josh, this is a setup for the future. Black Widow was pointless.
No, Black Widow, her introduction was awesome. Scarlett Johansson, this is one of my favorite appearances of her. It was great seeing her as younger, and I really liked the introduction of Samuel L. Jackson. I thought Justin Hammer, played by Justin Theroux, I thought was pretty good. And Don Cheadle, he wasn't a bad replacement for Terrence Howard. I do wish it was Terrence Howard, but what can you do? Don Cheadle does great. Jon Favreau still gets some great action. There's still some fun moments. I don't like the fact that sometimes the alcoholism thing of Tony is replaced by Jelly Beans, but I get what you're trying to do. It's a little, at least it's not Batman and Robin bad, but I don't mind most of the alcoholism thing. I just kind of wish it was taken a little more seriously, but I get it. You can't make this into a rated R. And Mickey Rourke, oh my god. Talk about one of the lesser known villains. Mickey Rourke, great actor. I do respect his craft, but every time I watch this movie, he is just a little bit too ridiculous, in my point. I think he looks great as Whiplash. I think the effects was great, but I personally felt you could have given this to anyone else and it would have not been a problem. But still a fun, entertaining ride. I know there was a little bit of mandate here, which does kind of hurt some of the decisions, because they have to cash in on the first Iron Man. But this is still my favorite of the Iron Man trilogy, and one that I've never really had a problem with. So, yeah, It's a fun time. Thor, again, epitastic fun. Oh, I love Thor. After seeing Love and Thunder and how frustrated I was with what Taika did to him writing wise, this reminds me of what I love about Thor. I love Chris Hemsworth. I do wish he would let himself play more serious Thor while being comedic. Hopefully in Thor 5, but this is, to me, the best Thor movie. It's, for one, it's pretty much like Shakespearean epics. You have Kenneth Branagh, great director, great actor. He directed stuff like Jack Reacher, Shadow Recruit, the 2015 Cinderella, which I've grown to appreciate. Very good director. And then on top of that, you got Chris Hemsworth. This was his first major starring role. He's amazing as the character. He's always been consistent, even at his weakest. Natalie Portman, I thought she was pretty good here. You got Idris Elba, you got Jamie Alexander, who I wish they would give her something to do or get rid of the character entirely. You got Anthony Hopkins, Rene Russo, our introduction to the villain of the last movie here, Loki. I just think this is a fun movie. It's everything I want in a Thor movie. It's a great origin story. You get to see him having to be on Earth and having to go through a character growth. He's really likable. He could be a little bit unlikable, but Chris Hemsworth makes it work so much that you buy him. There's some funny scenes, especially with Darcy, Kat Dennings, which Kat Dennings is gorgeous. I'm gonna say that now. She's great here. Personally, Dr. Eric Salvik, he's there. Some fun action, some awesome character development. The only issue I have with this is the freaking Dutch angles. This isn't Battlefield Earth, so you could reduce some of those Dutch angles a little bit. And some of the stuff on Earth can be a little tedious, but I think Thor is an underrated, awesome film. And it's still the best Thor movie that we will ever get. Captain America: The First Avenger. You can sit your behind in the epitastic fun. Again, I know, okay? I know. I know some people have issues with this, but I'm just a sucker for origin stories. This was a great origin story for Captain America. It's awesome. I think it's fun. Chris Evans, this was him getting a chance to do another big MCU role another big Marvel role, I should say, after the Human Torch. I thought he's really good in the movie. You also have Sebastian Stan as Bucky. Hugo Weaving, freaking awesome villain in Red Skull. He's so underrated. I wish Hugo Weaving would have came back for Avengers 3 and 4 as Red Skull, but I very much love his performance here, and I'm just a sucker for Hugo Weaving. Agent Smith, okay? This really liked him. Other characters like Derek Luke, I thought was great. Dominic Cooper. And you have the stunning Haley Atwell, which I know a friend of mine is not a fan of hers. I know. But I really loved her performance here, and she is underrated. Without her, Scarlett Johansson and Gwyneth Paltrow, or Natalie Portman, we wouldn't even have girls like Tatiana Maslany, or Brie Larson, or Iman Vellani, or Teyonah Parris, or even Elizabeth Olsen. So you have to respect the OGs, okay? Respect the OG girls, okay? But yeah, she was great. I love the story. I like the fact that we're in World War I. It's awesome. I think a lot of this movie, what it sets out to do, is phenomenal. It's fantastic. I really enjoy a lot of what they do in this movie. It's epitastic. It's fun. A little slow. Yes, Red Skull's plan isn't the best, but it did give us Hydra. It did give us some fun moments, and you have a great musical moment when it comes to a scene with him and Steve Rogers. And Joe Johnston, great direction and great cinematography. I almost forgot. Say whatever you want about Jurassic Park 3. I personally don't hate that movie for all the problems it has. But Joe Johnston, you cannot direct. This man can direct his ass off. The Rocketeer, this movie, such an underrated director that deserves more respect. And this will lead to some pretty great sequels, and I can't wait to see what Sam Wilson is gonna do in the fourth one. So this is where you're at, and Captain America: The First Avenger, amazing. But let's talk about the one I've been waiting for, the Avengers. You know this got to be a Spider-Verse work. Y'all already know. Don't be trying to lie and deny this. Say whatever you want about Joss Whedon, and rightfully so, because Joss Whedon right now, he is basically the talk of the town as far as all the shit he did during the production of Justice League. You got actors who's working with him coming out saying how difficult he was and how he almost threatened Gal Gadot and Ray Fisher's careers. But he made a damn great comic book movie that is still talked about, one of the greatest comic book movies ever. And the fact to see all these original 6 Avengers together in this movie, the final battle, the last 40 minutes of this movie are some of the best I've ever had in 2012. The cinematography at times can feel like a TV movie, but this was his second or first or third movie he was directed after Serenity. I don't know, I have to check, but the Avengers, still a classic at its times. I have nothing negative to say. I love Loki as a villain. I love the fact that we get some great characterization with these guys. You got Samuel L. Jackson here. You got Maria Hill, Kobe Smulders, another MCU underrated babe. I think people need to put some respect on. I think Scarlett Johansson, Mark Ruffalo, Chris Evans, Robert Downey Jr., and Chris Hemsworth is awesome. I really love this movie. And no type of drama that Joss Whedon has said is going to change that. And I don't care if all of you Snyderverse cultists tries to say this and Age of Ultron does not count in the MCU. Guess what? They count. Because without them, you wouldn't even have Kang Dynasty, you wouldn't even have the Secret Wars, and you wouldn't even have Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame. So put some respect on this and Age of Ultron, which I can't wait to talk about in the tier list of my favorite phase. Yep, a little controversial, I don't care, my opinion. But the Avengers, awesome movie. It's just, The Dark Knight is one of the greatest comic book movies ever, but this needs to be in the conversation because I truly think this is still one of the best comic book movies ever and one of the best movies of the 2010s. Well, that's gonna do it for the video that you just watched. I will have my channel here, so you would like to see anything here, click the channel icon, subscribe for more. I will also leave a video and maybe a playlist here, so in case you want to see what I'm about. As always, stay Epictasticness, join the Epictasticness, and you guys keep it cool.